Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Europa Rediviva. Two things caught my eye today in the news regarding Romania and its servitude, the one that I've documented in the previous episodes. And I thought of doing another episode regarding Romania's servitude towards Israel. Of course, I'm not gonna detail its enslavement process. This has been done by various Romanian journalists that, now are being criminally prosecuted as a result of the new law combating anti-Semitism. So if you want to read Ioan Roșca, Dumitru Manea, Cornel Dan Nicolae, if you're Romanian, these are the people that have detailed this process of, state capture from Israel that took place in Romania after 1989. I'm not going to speak about this. I'm going to speak about some recent developments. One is that the football club Beitar Jerusalem, which is officially the most racist and the most unhinged and the most violent football club in Israel. You can imagine, if it's the most racist and violent football club in Israel, you can imagine how racist and violent it is, right? Even the Israeli Football Federation wanted to ban it from European competitions because it is so extremely violent. But, of course, it did not go through. Also, UEFA did not ban the participation of Israeli clubs in European competitions, even though they banned Russia. FIFA the same. Anyway, so the entire collective West is beholden to Israel. But there are degrees, and Romania stands out as being the most slavish, just like with respect to Ukraine, just like with respect to any foreign paymaster, with respect to the United States. Anyway, so it is the most slavish, also in respect to Israel, because once you are led by this political class and by this class of influencers and journalists who simply are driven by an anti-national ethos and are willing to serve any foreign power. And since this has become normalized and any kind of national position is being labeled as fascist and prohibited, then this is what you get. So this piece of news drew my eye that Beitar Jerusalem will be playing its home matches in the European competitions in Ploiești, Romania. There was one time last year when they played a match in Ploiești, and after the match they marched half naked with torches through the center of Bucharest, shouting, racist slogans. Could you say they're racist slogans? Basically, raping and killing Palestinians. This is what they were advocating for, and these are actually their official slogans. And there was no media fuss. It was just written about in a couple of sports newspapers, but generally it was considered a very good thing that we receive foreign tourists, just like having Ukraine buy up Romanian industry with Romanian money. So essentially giving Romanian industry for free to Ukraine is a way of attracting foreign investment. Hosting this, the hooligans of this football club, which started out from a terrorist Zionist militia. So Beitar is actually one of these militias that committed terrorist acts and carried out the genocide of the Palestinians in 1948, the Nakba, together with Irgun and Hagana and Lehi and all the others. And we officially host the home matches of, need I say more? I mean, I don't think I need to characterize this anymore. And in Ploiești, Ploiești is one of these cities which has a mayor from this party that is affiliated with Renew Europe, that I was a part of. And this particular guy was also involved in the lawfare operations that the United States set up in Romania. So he was the assistant of Monica Macovei, the Minister of Justice, who switched the justice system from being independent to being politically run. So in 2004, the magistrates had their careers managed by the Magistrates Council, and from 2005, under her leadership, they became managed by the Ministry of Justice. And she was behind the early part of the lawfare mechanism of the enslavement process towards the United States. She was the main architect of this early part. And this guy, who is now the mayor of Ploiești, was assisting her in this. And I met him because during my time in Romania, I was interested in heritage, and I wanted to work with future promising mayors that might be interested in heritage, and the mayor of Bucharest that now turned president was one of them. I thought mistakenly that he was interested in heritage. He had no idea about architectural history. He could not differentiate the styles. There were other motivations that guided him in constructing this activist for heritage image that he constructed for himself. Those trials that he orchestrated against developers were motivated by other reasons, not by his love for heritage, because he didn't know heritage. He had no idea about architectural styles, about history, so he was clueless, and he was also not interested in learning. And if you know my Instagram profile, you will have already realized that I'm a big fan of heritage. I know the history of architecture quite well, at least the Romanian styles, because there are not so many. So if you give me a house, if you show me a building from Bucharest, I can tell you the period, I can tell you the style from the facade elements anyway. So this is what my Instagram is mainly about: architectural history and explaining architectural history so as to make people understand their value and to help their preservation. Because if people are not aware of why some buildings are stylistically important, they will not want to keep them, and they will not object to them being demolished for developers' interests, for various real estate projects of present-day developers. So I organized this architectural tour for the current mayor of Ploiești as well, back when he was thinking of running. And for one day I showed him the landmarks of Ploiești. I was trying to convince him to include in his strategy a part to develop Ploiești for touristic purposes. It might sound odd because this is rather an industrial center, but it also has some very interesting heritage buildings, which are different from the ones in Bucharest. And Ploiești is also conveniently located only half an hour away by train and by car from Bucharest. And I tried to convince him that it would be a good destination for people interested in heritage and architecture from Bucharest. Because, of course, Bucharest is a city of 2.5 million people. The majority are not interested in architecture and heritage, but there is a minority that might be. And if you promote Ploiești, which is so close to Bucharest and has such interesting, unique architectural landmarks, you might get, I don't know, maybe a few thousand people per year to go and spend a day in Ploiești to do a city break there. It is something, and, well, it also helps educating people about heritage and all this. Just to give you an idea of why Ploiești is a very good architectural escape from Bucharest, it has several landmarks that cannot be found and that have no equivalent in Bucharest, and that are quite valuable. So, for example, it has a house, a merchant house from the 18th century. Bucharest also has, like in the entire city, there may be 3 merchant houses from the 18th century. One of them is turned into a museum for a painter from a later era, and one belongs to the Heritage Council and is off limits for visitors. And I think there was a third one that's derelict. Anyway, the one in Ploiești is actually organized as a merchant house. So it is. It has the furniture preserved from the late 1700s. All sorts of objects that actually belonged to that merchant. He was a Bulgarian merchant. Bulgarian merchant that had gone to Jerusalem, had done the pilgrimage. So that's why he also incorporated Hajj in his name. It's Haji Prodan, but Prodan was the Bulgarian name, and Haji was just this title that he gave himself because he had done the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Just like the Muslims in the Ottoman Empire would do the pilgrimage in Mecca, the Hajj. And it has a very well preserved Ottoman interior. The exterior architecture is also very well preserved. You can see such houses only. I mean, I haven't been that far into the Balkans, but I've been quite a lot of times in Bulgaria, and you can see such houses maybe in Plovdiv. They're called Renaissance houses. They also belonged to the rich Bulgarian merchants that started the Bulgarian Renaissance of the late 1700s, early 1800s, which finally led to the Bulgarian liberation. And this is one piece of architecture that you cannot find in Bucharest. I'm not sure if you can find it anywhere else in Romania. A merchant house, so well preserved, from the 1700s. This is one landmark. Another landmark that Ploiești has are the market halls. As you probably know, the market halls in every European capital are quite an important touristic landmark. So the ones in Barcelona, the ones in Madrid, the ones in I can also think of some in Eastern European capitals, in Budapest, in Sofia, in Kiev. I've also visited the ones in Kiev before I was put on the Ukrainian Mirodvorets, and of course now I cannot travel to Ukraine anymore. But I was in Ukraine on a European Union mission back in 2015 in Sumy. Anyway, so there are these market halls that every European capital has, and Romania doesn't. Bucharest doesn't. There are some market halls from the 19th century or from the early 20th century, but one of them is too small and it is turned into a supermarket, the oldest market hall in Bucharest. And there's another one which is in late modernist style, and it's very functionalist. It is touristy in the sense that it hasn't been refurbished. It still has some murals which were from the 1930s depicting agricultural activities, but its volumetry is just a cube, so there's nothing touristically enticing in it. As opposed to these market halls that were built in the late 19th century in all sorts of European capitals, and in Ploiești. Well, the one in Ploiești is built in the 1920s or early 1930s, and it is Art Deco. It has the volumetry of these market halls with domes, but it is in Art Deco style, and it has very nice Art Deco facade decorations, very nice to visit. And I advised this guy, who became mayor, to market it for what market halls in other European capitals are marketed for. So to have gourmet local food, to have food stalls, and to have tourists coming in. In this case, they would be coming in from Bucharest, or foreign tourists visiting Bucharest and doing a short detour, 30-minute detour into Ploiești, to have the market hall experience. It is a thing. We don't have it in Bucharest because, we don't have it in Bucharest. But it could be very well replicated in Ploiești, because those market halls in Ploiești are quite central, they're large, they have very nice exteriors, they have very nice interiors, and they could be repurposed for these food stalls to promote traditional food maybe biological food from the area, so from southern Romania, from Muntenia. This would be also representative for Bucharest, so people who visit Bucharest, foreign tourists who visit Bucharest and who want to have some authentic cuisine from this part of the country can go and have a tasting in these market halls in Ploiești. So yeah, basically I tried to give him to explain to him the market hall experience, and I failed. I mean, he at the end of the day he was not interested in anything that I showed him because he had no idea about heritage. He had no idea why heritage is important, and at the end of the day, he did not include these things about heritage in his mayoral strategy. And this is why to this day Ploiești has no tourist attractions, has no strategy of promoting itself touristically, even though it has what to show. It has sites. There are some other things. There's the Lutheran church with neo-medieval architecture, something again you do not find in Bucharest. In Bucharest there is a Lutheran church, but with a very simple architecture, nothing fancy. And the one in Ploiești is quite impressive. It mimics the guard tower from medieval fortifications. Anyway, it has a Catholic church which has a very nice synthesis of elements. It has a Romanesque tower, so Romanesque revival tower. It has a neo-Gothic. It has neo-Gothic arches, and it has a neo-Byzantine dome. And there's also a school in Art Deco style. In Bucharest, there are no schools in Art Deco style that I know of. Most of the schools are in Neo-Romanian style because they were built in the 1910s, 1900s, 1910s. By 1920, the high schools had already been built, so there was no more need for high schools and middle schools so as to have what to build during the Art Deco era. And in Bucharest, I don't know any school that is in Art Deco style, but in Ploiești there is one. You know, it could also be promoted in this sense. It's quite elegant, and Ploiești is not such a big city, so everything is compact, reachable. You can do a one-day excursion through it. You can just go sightseeing on foot through the whole city and watch, see all of these sites which are architecturally important. The merchant house is also organized as a museum, so you can visit it. And there is another merchant house from the same era, but which serves as the museum for the life and work of Ion Luca Caragiale, Romania's most famous playwright. There's also the Memorial House of Nikita Stănescu, which is done in this, I think it's 1940s eclectic modernist architecture. It's a very nice, interesting house. It's hard to put it in a certain style. In the 1940s, there was this mix-up of stylistic elements from other styles incorporated into modernism, and this is where it belongs. And I'm sure I can think of some other interesting sites in Ploiești, but these are the top ones. There's a very nice rooftop terrace. We also don't have this in Bucharest. There is a very nice bar on top of the main communist mall. So it's this shopping center that was built in the 1980s. The model that appeared in the city centers of all Romanian cities at the time. It has a very nice rooftop terrace, which was turned into a very nice rock bar. So it's not one of these fancy, rooftop terraces like we have in Bucharest. It's an actual rock bar with rock music, and you have a very nice view of the city. It's right opposite the administrative palace. The administrative palace of Ploiești is also a very interesting building. It's brutalist, and the edges of the building are shaped in the angles of the infinity column sculpted by Băncuș. So it was brutalist, incorporating some Romanian sculptural elements. Very interesting, very elegant, well proportioned, It also has a very nice inner courtyard. Romania doesn't have a lot of brutalism. I can only think of the administrative palace of Ploiești and the administrative palace of Satu Mare as proper brutalist landmarks that make an impression on you. Some others are too shy. The architects did not go brutalist enough on them. But yeah, the Ploiești one is really nice, and this rooftop terrace gives you a view of all the center of Ploiești, and it is right opposite this this building, which is also very nice and nicely illuminated in the evenings. So it's very nice to watch the sunset there. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to promote Ploiești as a touristic destination for the inhabitants of Bucharest, or for the small minority of architecturally minded inhabitants of Bucharest. And this guy who I tried to advise and who is now mayor brings in another kind of tourists, football hooligans who will just devastate the city, who will just have marches with torches and yeah, basically ransack Ploiești. And he's beholden to the same interests as the lady who he was assisting, so he's beholden to the US and the Israeli agenda. I also tried to speak to him regarding this lawfare mechanism when I became when I started to realize its existence, and that the people that he was supporting were not actually fair, and the criminal justice system had turned into a political witch hunt to just replace the political class with docile agents of foreign interests. And well, he showed some openness in the fact that he did not shun me for opening up the topic, but he said he cannot touch it. He cannot touch such a matter, even though he was advocating for what the anti-corruption directorate was doing. And he also had no legal training, so even though he was an anti-corruption activist, he did not understand the basics of how the legal profession in Romania was organized, of how a trial should function, of what constitutes evidence, of how of what is due process, of what is the separation of powers in a state. He's a philosophy graduate. Even though he and his wife were instrumental in ousting the Prime Minister Ponta, the Prime Minister Victor Ponta from the Social Democrats, they were the main instigators for the protests after the Collective Club fire that turned into this Orange Revolution type of event, and that ousted Victor Ponta, who was also criminally prosecuted and later acquitted by this anti-corruption directorate. They were not interested in what constitutes due process and what constitutes a fair legal system. They were just advocating for the witch hunt, for the benefit of the witch hunt. They were not advocating for the setting up of the Romanian judiciary system on some sound grounds, and to ensure the non-politicization of trials, and to ensure the rights of every defendant. They were not interested in these things. They were just interested in ousting the political class that we had then, in order to replace it with people like themselves and like some other foreign agents. So, and besides this piece of news regarding Ploiești, there was this other piece of news. The Iranian foreign minister protested against NATO's admission that Romania and Italy had done serious efforts to help the United States and Israel bomb Iran. So this event in Romania was upheld by the entire political spectrum. There was no political force in Romania that ever said, wait a minute, this bombarding of Iran is illegal under international law. We also have diplomatic relations with Iran. We should not get involved. Maybe this would jeopardize our security. No. So Romania is currently not accepted in Washington in any kind of on any kind of bilateral at any kind of bilateral level. Romania is paying a lobby firm to obtain some sort of visit by the Romanian president to Washington, D.C. And in the meantime, Romania is doing absolutely anything that the United States wants without asking for anything in return. Some people compared this to the performance of a waiter, but still, you still have to pay for service. I would compare it to the performance of a slave, of a servant, an indentured servant. This is what Romania has become. And the ethos is to have this exacerbated, not to tone down this servility, not to tone down the servitude, but to exacerbate it. Also in the media, also with the so-called activists, the ethos was, yeah, we should do everything for America and for Israel, and we should ask for nothing in exchange because that's anti-Semitic. If you claim that Romanians should also have national interest, that's fascist. And we don't want to have that. So this is the ethos right now of a country that's committing suicide, as I've detailed in previous episodes. And I cannot help but think with nostalgia about how these things were handled 25 years ago. I've seen some interviews with government ministers from the Adrian Năstase government, and they also gave things to the Americans. The Bechtel contract for a highway that was never built, but Romania paid $1 billion to this US company, and that was the price for entering NATO. The privatization of the Galați Steelworks, where also my family used to work when I was born. That privatization was done at the behest of the UK government, also to assist us in joining the European Union and NATO. The privatization of the Romanian oil company, state oil company, to the Austrian state. So it was not a privatization, it was an etatization, but so a passing of ownership to a different state. But those things were negotiated, and those things were done somehow in view of national interest, or so they claimed, and something was asked in return. And of course, not all demands were given in. So of course, the United States and every Western country wanted all sorts of perks, demanded procurement contracts of many things. And the government did not accept all of them. The government accepted only some of them, and after brutal negotiations, in order to obtain these concessions regarding Romania's accession to NATO and to the European Union. And they were negotiating. Whereas right now, the ethos of the people running Romania is for them to be considered useful. They want to receive demands and to honor them without asking for anything in return, so that they could be praised. This is their ethos. Their ethos, as I said in previous episodes, is that of an orphan child with severe cognitive impairment. The people ruling Romania right now, the political class ruling Romania right now, just want to be accepted internationally. This is their goal. They want to be praised. They want to be accepted. For them, it's also a surprise how they ended up there, and for me, it's a surprise. But I mean, seeing the degradation of public discourse and the degradation of the cognitive level in general in Romania in the last 6 years, it is somehow explainable how there was this drive to get these people into office. But yeah, this is what drives them. It's having some very poor people from the countryside coming to the capital for the first time, and their number one goal is to be seen as belonging, to be seen as being from there. This is kind of the ethos of the people running Romania right now. They want to do a foreign visit somewhere to get this photo opportunity and to put on their social media that, yeah, I'm a leader, I'm important. Look, Israel asked me for some services, and I honored them. And look, I'm important to Israel. Or I'm important to Ukraine. I have a photo up with Zelensky, who is the most praised leader of the West, the new Churchill, and so on and so forth. And I actually know this from direct experience. So I used to be friends with some people who functioned at this level, and this was their number one motivator. It wasn't just that they were somehow co-opted, that they received some bribes or anything. No, perhaps they would have hoped for that in the future, but their number one drive was for them to be considered important by somebody from abroad. Just like in the 1990s, there were these orphans in Romanian orphanages that just wanted to be adopted from abroad. There are all kinds of the 1990s were also famous for these pedophile cases, Marc Dutroux. But they were also famous for adoptions, international adoptions from Romanian orphanages. And the people ruling Romania, not to the benefit of the Romanian people, have this ethos of a Romanian orphan from 1990, from an orphanage from hell, wanting to be adopted by a friendly couple of Belgian gay people or something like this, in order to be treated very well, if you know what I mean. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. If you like what I do, like, share, subscribe. If you want to support me financially, you'll find the link in the description how to do so. And until next time, take care.